not in my name.
We have others who support, who facilitate and endorse these war crimes by Israel. That's why we protest. It's why we march. It's why we continually call for BDS, the continual boycotting, divestment and sanctions from the Israeli regime in response to their kind of war crimes.
And I look forward to the day when we see some of these war criminals in the International Criminal Court. They will be prosecuted, all of them. Netanyahu, the senior general, the cabinet ministers, and I would add Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak.
And one of the things that I think is really special about our schools is how welcoming they are. I'm thinking about over the 22 years I've worked in Brent, and I've taught children who have arrived here from the war in Somalia and the war in Eritrea and wars in Congo, children who have come from the bombing in Syria who are so traumatized they can't speak, children from Iraq, children who have had the most horrible experiences, and we welcome into our schools and we do whatever we can to try and make them feel welcome and feel safe, and we think a lot about that as educators, don't we?
We are facing a devastating situation because every day as we watch our television screens we see civilians, children and women being massacred. We know that they are going hungry. We know that there's disease going into Gaza as the water is not clean and they are drinking salty water. It's an absolute crime against humanity.
We need a ceasefire now. We need decency now. And if anyone calls themselves Jewish, they should know that one of the fundamental rules of Judaism, not Zionism, Judaism is to treat everybody and everything with decency.
That's why 38, I think the number was, out of 49 of us Brent Labour councillors called for a ceasefire. But we didn't call just for a ceasefire. Our goals are more clear. This is an end to the occupation, it's the cause. What is the cause of all of these? For people who want to make us believe that they care about what's happening here, you need to focus on the cause. Our goals are an end to the occupation. Our goals are the dismantling of settlements. 340 Palestinian healthcare workers are now dead. That is doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, every grade of healthcare worker killed at work in hospitals. We have seen that there is a deliberate bombing campaign against hospitals. 25 out of the 36 hospitals in Gaza are destroyed.
And the absolute opposite attitude that they have, the total lack of will that they have to protect and defend children, to keep them safe, to offer them a welcome, is absolutely shocking. I am so angry at the UN's decision to maybe work, maybe think about a little pause so that we can stop children starving long enough to start bombing them again. I am so furious at that. You know, my sadness is really turned into fury, and I think we should all feel extremely angry at the people that lead us, particularly people who are supposed to represent working class people like Keir Starmer, who actually has not got the will to say anything sensible about what is happening in Gaza. He sits on the fence, he prevaricates, he lets people, good people, leave the Labour Party first in dribs and drabs, and now beginning to be in droves over this issue because they can't stomach what is going on inside their party. You know, people who really should be standing up like that and making a stand and saying that we're not going to see fellow workers, children, innocent people murdered in these huge industrial quantities in front of our eyes. We're not going to stand here and watch a genocide happening in our names. You know, actually, that's what they should be saying. It disgusts me, and they need to be a bit more like the schools around here that are underfunded, that have people leaving them in droves because they can't afford to live on the salaries that we're paid. People who actually come in, day out, and working, doing more with less every single day, but always offer a warm welcome to those children that come from all around the world, that open our arms to the parents, that feed those kids when they have to, that deal with the 13 years of austerity that our children are living with, the terrible housing conditions that they're living in. It's all part of the same thing. Their lack of care, their lack of respect for ordinary people, and their lack of actually understanding that in the end, we are the people who have have the power to change things, and we will. We are not going to stand by and watch a genocide and let this system that isn't fit for any of us, particularly not fit for children like little Omar, who was speaking earlier so eloquently.
What we are calling for is the return of refugees, Palestinian refugees who are in refugee camps that we are seeing being bombed across Gaza, but not just in Gaza, across Palestine. But not just in Palestine, across the neighbouring countries, but across the whole of the world. We are calling for a return of all of those refugees to their land, to their rightful homes. We feel helpless at the time, but what we can do is we can hold our elected representatives accountable. What we can also do, in addition to getting involved in BDS, in addition to mobilising and getting involved in action like this, what we can do is we can inform, we can educate.
This is no accident, this is not collateral damage, they are military targets. They went after Al-Shifa hospital. To justify it, they said, oh, there were Hamas tunnels underneath the hospital. Did they find any? No, they didn't. Absolute rubbish.
Well, yeah.
And what did they do? They bombed the hospital, they killed patients, they killed doctors and nurses, and what they also did is they kidnapped the head of the hospital, abducted him. They're doing it in many other hospitals now, and there are hundreds of healthcare workers that have been abducted and detained and are in Israeli jails right now. Some of them being tortured, apparently, from reports. Where else does this go on?
You know, it's people like that. We need a better world, and we need to be the people who stand up and fight for that better world and make the rest of the world more like the schools that we have in Brent, and everybody more like the educators in Brent.
We could stop tomorrow if the United States was prepared to call for a full ceasefire, but they don't want to. And the question is, why don't they want to? Why do they want to allow Israel to be the policeman of the West in the Middle East, watching over the Arab states, watching over their interests in Suez, in Egypt? Our government is complicit with this. So it's great to see you all here. It's great to have you giving us support and giving Palestine Solidarity Campaign support. You must know that there's a huge demonstration which is being planned for the 13th of January, which is a Saturday. It's got to be massive, because massive demonstrations do make an impact. I mean, they don't necessarily change their policy, but they get worried. And we've seen lots of Labour councillors leaving the Labour Party, so of MPs. We know that Suella Braverman had to go under a lot of pressure, and we know that Rishi Sunak's polls are dropping all the time, and he's very, very, very worried. In 2024, which will probably be a year of a general election. And do be there on the 13th of January, constantly calling for a full ceasefire. That's the best thing we can do, and we need to keep up the pressure.
And it's called Don't Mention the Children. Don't name the dead children. The people must not know the names of the dead children. The names of the dead children must be hidden. The children must be nameless. The children must leave this world having no names. No one must know the names of the dead children. No one must say the names of the dead children. No one must even think the children have names. People must understand that it would be dangerous to know the names of the children. The people must be protected from knowing the names of the children. The names of the children could spread like wildfire. The people would not be safe if they knew the names of the children. Don't name the dead children. Don't remember the dead children. Don't think of the dead children. Don't say dead children. Thank you.